"You're no Superman." He smirked in bed, but she walked out wearing the cape. "You're no Superman." That was the last thing he said, lying there like a man who thought he'd won, shirtless, satisfied, smirking in the aftermath of another careless night. He thought it was over, but for her, it had just begun. They weren't married, not officially, not legally, but 13 years together, 2 kids, 3 cross-country moves, and 1,000 broken promises had created a bond, or a cage, that no court needed to validate. Her name was Sierra, and this wasn't the first time she'd wanted to leave. If you find value in real stories told with clarity and truth, make sure to subscribe to stay informed with Black Grace Diaries. The last time she packed a bag, her son threw up from stress. The time before that, she got as far as the front door before he collapsed into tears, promising to get therapy. He never did. This morning, there were no tears, no yelling, no final blowout, just a smirk. Sierra stood there, fully dressed, coat zipped, keys in hand, staring at the man who once told her she'd never survive without him. What he didn't know was she already had. The apartment door clicked shut behind her, not with drama, but with decision. Her boots echoed down the stairs like punctuation marks at the end of a long, unread sentence. She didn't cry, not this time. Outside, the city was still waking up. Cold air kissed her cheeks, reminding her that this wasn't a dream, and no one was coming to save her. But for once, she didn't need saving. She slid into the back seat of the Uber. The driver didn't ask where she was going. He already knew. The address was typed in at 5:04 a.m. while her heart was still beating too loudly to think. Her sister's condo on the other side of town. Temporary, but safe. Familiar, but new. "Bad night?" he asked softly. Sierra offered a polite smile. "Long time coming." He nodded, eyes back on the road, but something in the mirror said he understood. As they passed through neighborhoods she used to call home, she remembered the first time she met Jason. He was magnetic, untouchable, dangerous in a way that felt like electricity. He didn't ask her out, he claimed her, like a prize, like a bet he was sure he'd win. And maybe for a while he did. He paid the bills, he brought gifts, he made her laugh until her stomach hurt. But he also made her feel small, dismissed, invisible. The compliments turned to criticisms, the promises turned to excuses, the jokes turned to jabs. And now she was 35, with a biology degree collecting dust, 2 kids she loved more than life, and a man who once said she'd never be more than the girl who got lucky with him. "Do you regret staying that long?" her sister had once asked. Sierra had answered honestly, "Every year, except the ones with my kids." But today, something felt different. Final. Not like an escape, like a return. What she didn't know was someone was about to make her past their present. Sierra barely slept the first night at her sister's place. The sheets were clean, the room was quiet, but her mind was loud. Every creak in the hallway felt like a memory scratching to be let in. Every blinking light on the ceiling reminded her of the arguments that started over nothing and ended with apologies that meant even less. She laid there, one arm over her eyes, trying to quiet the questions. Were the kids okay? Did he even notice I took the passports? Would he come looking? Not out of love, but out of control. By morning, her sister Anaya had already brewed coffee and set out a note. "Take what you need, stay as long as you want." Sierra folded it slowly like it was something holy. Anaya was 10 years older, the only person who'd warned her about Jason from day one, and the only one who didn't say, "I told you so," when it all came crashing down. "You know what he's gonna do next, right?" Anaya asked over toast. Sierra nodded. "I know. He'll call everyone. Your mom, the boys' school. Say you lost it." "I know. You ready for that?" Sierra sipped her coffee. Her hand didn't shake. "I've already been the villain in his story. I might as well earn it." What she didn't say was that she had already seen the missed calls, 10 of them, and 2 voicemails she hadn't listened to. One from Jason, one from her son. She wasn't sure which scared her more. Later that afternoon, Sierra sat by the window scrolling through old photos. The kind where everyone was smiling, but no one looked happy. Jason had the same smirk in every shot, the one he thought no one could leave him. She paused at a photo from the boy's first day of school. She looked so small next to him, even in heels. That's when she noticed it. Behind them, in the reflection of the minivan window, a shadow of someone watching. She never noticed it before, and she wasn't sure she was ready to ask who it was. Jason hadn't called again, but the silence felt louder than his rage. On the third day, Sierra finally played the voicemail. "Hey, I know you think this is one of those moments where you get to walk away and I just take it. But you're not taking them. Don't be stupid." Click. No apology, no explanation, just a warning. She leaned back in the kitchen chair, clutching her phone like it had teeth. Then she played the second message. "Mom, Dad says you went to get medicine, but it's been 2 days. Are you okay?" Her son's voice cracked. He was 10 and already learning to monitor the adults. Sierra stared out the window for a long time, until Anaya came in with laundry. "He's not with him, not really," she said out of nowhere. "Then go get him." "I can't just show up. He'll make it a scene." "Then don't go alone."
That night, Sierra wrote a letter, not to Jason, but to her kids. She told them she was okay, that she loved them more than anything, that the reason she left had nothing to do with them and everything to do with wanting better for them. She left a letter in Anaya's safe, in case she didn't come back. What she didn't know was someone else had already read it. The plan was simple: wait until Jason left for work, then knock. Calm, controlled, just a mom visiting her sons. Anaya parked a block away, engine running. Sierra adjusted her coat, checked her reflection in the side mirror, and took a breath that felt like swallowing fire. At 8:42 a.m., she walked up the steps, knocked 3 times, then waited. A shadow moved behind the curtain. The door opened halfway. It wasn't Jason. It was her younger son, Max, barefoot, ice puffy, still in pajamas. "Mom?" She bent down. "Hey baby, I'm here." He blinked twice, then launched into her arms with the full weight of a week's worth of fear. "Where's your brother?" she asked, eyes scanning the apartment. "In his room. He's mad." "Where's your dad?" Max hesitated. "He left early. He was yelling on the phone." Sierra stepped inside. The apartment was a mess. Dishes piled high, blankets on the floor, mail unopened. She hadn't expected this. Not this level of unraveling. Her older son, Jaden, appeared in the hallway, arms crossed, guarded. "You left?" Sierra nodded. "I did." "You didn't tell us." "I know. And I'm sorry, but I had to." Jaden didn't move. He didn't blink. "Dad said you ran off, that you didn't care." Sierra stepped forward slowly. "That's not true. And deep down, you know it." He looked down, just for a second, and in that second, her heart cracked open. What she didn't see was Jason's car turning the corner. The tires screeched to a stop. Jason's door slammed before the engine cut. Sierra grabbed Max's hand. Her heart pounded like it wanted out. Jaden froze. And then came the knock. Loud, deliberate, sharp enough to cut through silence. Anaya appeared in the doorway behind Sierra, holding her phone. Her face was calm, her voice even. "You want me to call?" Sierra didn't answer. She walked to the door, opened it just a crack. Jason's face was a storm, not yelling, not yet, but the thunder was ready. "What the hell are you doing here?" "I'm here to see my sons." "You don't just walk back in like nothing happened, Sierra. That's not how this works." She stepped outside, pulled the door shut behind her. "That's exactly how this works. You had your turn." He moved closer. "Too close. You took them without permission." "No, I left. You had no permission to control my life, and you damn sure don't get to scare them. You're going to regret this." "I already did. For 13 years. Jason's fists clenched, but before he could speak, Jaden opened the door behind her. "Dad, stop." His voice was quiet, strong. Jason turned, startled. Jaden stood tall between them. "Go home, Dad." What Jason didn't know was, the boy he once controlled had already become a man. Jason didn't say another word. Maybe it was Jaden's eyes. Maybe it was the weight of 2 decades crashing down in silence. But for the first time in a long time, Jason backed down. He turned, walked to his car, slammed the door not in anger, but defeat. Sierra didn't breathe until the engine faded down the block. Inside, Max clung to her leg like a shadow. Jaden stood still, unmoved, unreadable. "You okay?" Sierra asked. He gave the smallest nod. That afternoon they packed bags, not with fear, but with intention. Sierra didn't take everything, just enough to start. Photos, school papers, the stuffed lion Max couldn't sleep without. When Jason texted, it wasn't rage, it was ice. "This isn't over." Sierra didn't reply. Instead, she printed the letter she wrote, the one from Anaya's safe, and gave it to Jaden. He read it, slowly, carefully, then looked up. "Can I come with you?" The question cracked her wide open. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes, please." That night they stayed at Anaya's. Pizza, a movie no one finished, and laughter. Small, awkward, but real. Jaden sat beside her on the couch, quiet for a long time. Then he said, "I used to think you were weak for staying." Sierra waited. "But now I get it. You weren't weak. You were surviving." Tears burned her eyes, but she blinked them back. "I wanted you to have a dad, even if it meant losing pieces of myself. You don't have to lose anymore." What she didn't know was someone else had heard every word. It was the sound of the back screen door creaking open that made Sierra look up. Anaya stepped into the kitchen from the patio, phone in hand. "You might want to hear this," she said carefully. She pressed play. Jason's voice, shaky but unmistakable, filtered through the speaker. "I messed up. I know that. But you don't get to take everything. She's turning them against me. I swear to God, if she files anything, I'll burn it all down." Sierra's chest tightened. Max was in the next room. Jaden had just fallen asleep. The world she was rebuilding felt like it was made of sugar glass. "I recorded that in case you need it," Anaya said. "I know men like him. They only back down when cornered, and you're about to corner him legally." Sierra nodded slowly. She hadn't wanted it to come to court, but the moment Jason said burn it all down, something in her broke, or maybe healed. The next morning she called a lawyer, told them everything, the texts, the threats, the years of control. She brought the letter, the voicemail, the photo with the shadow in the reflection. "He's going to spin it," the attorney warned, "make himself the wounded one. You have to be ready for the long game."
Sierra looked him in the eye. "I've been playing the long game for 13 years. I'm ready." They filed for a restraining order, started custody proceedings. Jason didn't respond. Not directly, but that week, Sierra's car tires were slashed. Her college transcripts mysteriously vanished from the university system. Max's school was called anonymously, with a report of emotional instability at home. Each time, she documented it. Each time, she stood taller. Jaden saw it all, said nothing. But one night, as she tucked Max in, he left a note under her door. It read, "I don't need a Superman. I just need you." She cried quietly that night, in a way she hadn't in years, not from fear, but from freedom. What she didn't know was, Jason wasn't done, but neither was she. The courtroom was cold, unforgiving, and yet somehow Sierra felt more grounded there than she had in over a decade. Jason sat across the aisle, flanked by a lawyer paid for by his mother. He wore a suit he didn't know how to sit in, stiff, defensive, performative. Sierra didn't try to look strong. She was strong. When she took the stand, her voice didn't shake. She told the truth plainly, clearly. Not to destroy him, but to finally unearth herself. She showed the texts, played the voicemails, described the years like unwrapping an old wound in front of strangers.
Jason's lawyer objected, tried to reframe, blame, but the judge saw through it. When it was Jason's turn, he fumbled. He couldn't remember dates, contradicted himself twice. At one point, he snapped, accusing Sierra of manipulating the boys. The judge silenced him with a single word: enough. It didn't end that day, but it shifted. A temporary restraining order was granted. The boys would remain with Sierra until a full custody hearing. Jason was ordered to attend anger management. In the hallway outside, Jaden gripped her hand. "You didn't flinch." Sierra smiled. "Neither did you." Weeks passed. Spring broke through winter. Max laughed more. Jaden started writing again. Jason still sent emails, demands, accusations, but they landed like paper against stone. Then, one morning, an envelope arrived. No return address. Inside, a single photo. It was Sierra and the boys, at a park 3 years ago. Jason had taken it, she remembered now. On the back, in his handwriting, "You were always the strong one. I just hated that." No apology, but no threat. It was the first time he told the truth. That night, Sierra stood in front of the mirror. She wasn't wearing armor, or makeup, or fear. She walked into the bedroom, kissed Max's forehead, tucked Jaden's sketchbook under his pillow, and went back to her own room. She closed the door gently, exhaled fully, and for the first time in years, slept without one eye open. She didn't need a Superman. She had become her own. If this story moved you or opened your eyes, don't forget to hit heart, leave a comment, and share this report with someone who needs to see it.